friends get together so they can try things. You're invited to this podcast so that you can try things. Now we will stop singing so that we can all now try this.
Hello and welcome to Now Try This, the podcast where two best friends get together every week to try something new. I'm Marcus, the guy who forgot to count down, and that's Nick, the guy who's victim to my not counting down.
That's fine. I was just researching the show that we're just about to do right now. How are you, Marcus?
I'm doing fantastic. I'm so
Great,
grateful that you forced me to watch Game of Thrones, House of the Dragon.
Marcus, you said this is a podcast where two friends try stuff. What does that mean? That means we take something that we love more than anything, and we make the other person watch it. Unless you were like me and you assumed you would like something and you gave it as a challenge, and then you are, spaghetti-o. Here we are talking about something that neither of us love. That is against the principle of the show, but here we are.
I've been doing this podcast for quite some time. So have you.
Yeah. Some would say the exact same amount of time.
You have also been doing this podcast for some time. But I know as your co-host, Nick, that a lot of times you like to play games. You like to pretend you don't like something. You like to pretend you like something, then you switch at the end of it. So I don't know. You could still love the show.
Marcus, I like how you're trying to pretend like an old man. Like, all my years podcasting, a couple truths have presented themselves, and one is you play games, Nicholas. Guys, we challenge each other to try things we love. Last week, we tried your challenge. It was a Patreon episode. We tried A League of Their Own. And then before that was Marcus's challenge. We tried RRR. And Marcus, that fucking episode popped off.
Oh my goodness, guys. If you're joining us now because you listen to RRR and you want to see more content, thank you. Welcome. We appreciate you.
And so sorry that you went from the masterpiece that is RRR and the culturally relevant A League of Their Own, and now you're here watching fucking Dragon House mayhem over here.
You know what? We'll make it entertaining for them either way.
Oh, good.
That's
Listen,
the hope.
I have somehow so much and not a lot to say about the show. But before we get into that, Marcus, I just want to see, how are you doing? Find out what your challenge is and find out your favorite moment from last episode.
That's a lot, man. Okay.
Yeah,
I am doing great. Okay. Fantastic. Mental health, top A. Okay. I'm getting all the sleep.
Top AA. That's what you said. That's not. You should.
I'm getting all the sleep. I was not up since 3 a.m. today. Okay, it's been a great time. I'm having a great time. And also, my favorite moment from last episode was when you made that great point that I made a clip of today that. We were talking about the rest of the roster and how not all of them have gotten representation. Someone else brought up that point to me today separately without even seeing the clip that we posted. So it's something that resonated with a lot of people out there.
Hell yeah. I am fucking culturally relevant. That's me. Perfect podcast partner. Marcus, to answer those questions back, I'm doing fantastic. Yo, I taught a chess lesson today. And tell me if this is weird. So I have a group lesson with 3 kids. These 3 kids, it's very new to this school year. We've only had one other one, and one of the kids was sick. This one was at a different house, so it was a lot of mayhem to get the kids to finally sit. One kid took 20 minutes in the bathroom. I don't know what they were doing. Not my business. It took a long time to sit down.
You take long poops, okay? Especially
I feel like he pooped and then played with it. It was a whole thing. But another mom showed up with her kid and just sat. It's we thought we'd join the lesson, and I'm just I'm just sitting there in awe. That's what I was like. What
pay to play?
I was so confused. Did one of these moms just say, "Hey, just come on by"?
Maybe
Nick won't care.
Yeah,
but it's also I'm teaching these kids from the jump. So all I've taught them so far are the kings and pawns, and today we learned the bishops. But I couldn't go backwards for this new random kid. That's the thing that upset me. It's just a disservice to the child.
Yeah.
Where it's I don't know. Daron said here to audit the course. She doesn't.
Yeah, I was waiting for you to finish before I jumped in and said it's a great opportunity for you to promote the class, because she might be like, oh, this is something interesting. maybe I'm gonna hire him also. Get a fourth kid in there.
My problem was the fucking, honestly, the little bit of disrespect to me and my time to just like not just be like, hey, can my friend bring her kid? And
Yeah.
Marcus, what would my have answer been? Of course.
Of
The more
course.
the merrier. Bring her around down, batters up. Head in the pool. Let's go. I ran out of euphemism.
Let's
I ran out of
go?
euphemisms. I ran out of euphemisms.
That's not
Do
a
you have
good
another-
euphemism.
Give me another euphemism for let's go. Like here, like
Giddy
let's
up.
do it. That would have been weirder. That would have been wrong. See,
Why?
that's what I'm saying.
There's horses in chess. It would have been apt.
I don't like puns. But anyway, I'm good. That's what my life is like. And my favorite thing from last episode was when I went the whole tirade about my favorite character, and then you started agreeing with me because you were doing something else, and you were like, "Oh, wait, who are we talking about?"
That was a good moment.
Because sometimes I zone out and I got to come back in, and it was just good to know
Yeah, yeah.
that you also had a moment where you're like,
Uh-huh.
"Fuck, I wasn't listening. What are we doing?"
Yeah, exactly. I was looking up facts
You're
about the
fixing
thing.
something.
I was trying to look up the characters because I was like, I don't remember any of the characters. And then in doing that, I fucked up which character you were talking about.
Darren, pawn to E5, baby. Great opening. I
Uh-huh.
will cream you.
I will cream you. Jesus.
Uh,
Is that
that's
what
not-
you say to the children?
No, I don't. But that's another euphemism about beating someone.
Okay, got it.
You cream them. I never realized until I just said it now in this moment that
Mhm.
that sounds like a wrong euphemism. That
Yeah,
sounds like a
it's
double
very
entendre.
sexual euphemism.
If it, yeah, but I've used it before.
It comes from creamed corn, because back in the day they used to throw creamed corn at each other to play around.
Marcus, I don't think that's correct.
I don't know. I went
Guys,
to
if
an
you're
American
joining
history
us-
school. Okay.
If you're joining us for the first time, this is Now Try This. We would love for you to join our community, and the way to do that is at patreon.com/Now Try This cast. Sorry, patreon.com/Now Try This cast. And the way to join is with just $1. You can join the conversation, you can comment on our posts, and you get to vote every month on what we do at the beginning of every month. And if you're so generous and like to donate $5, you get to make submissions on what people vote on every month to see what our challenge is like. A League of Their Own last month or this month. I'm excited to see what next month is, because next month is themed because October's coming, and everyone knows October time is the time for Boo Boo
Mischief.
Skidoo month. Mischief month. I like that. Mischief month. It is the
It's Spooky Scary
Mischief month.
Boys month. It's always Spooky Scary Boys month.
It's Mischief month. Next month, only scary things, only spooky, scary boy things. Marcus, tell us what we're doing next week, and then we'll jump into the episode.
Next week we are not getting better at branding, but we're gonna start our episodes of spooky, scary, frightening content a little bit early, because there's good stuff coming out right now that I am so hyped for. But I just watched a horror movie called Barbarian that
Oh, I was about to look it up.
I
You
don't
want me
look
to.
up anything about it, please.
Yeah.
I promise you.
Okay.
Guys, if
I
you're
believe you.
listening, go see Barbarian. Go in as blind as possible. Don't look up scores. Don't look up reviews. Don't look up anything about it. Don't look up actors in the movie. Just go in, watch the movie, enjoy, or hate it and get at me in the comments.
Well, we'll find out. That'll be next week. Is I can rent this film, or
You have to go to the theaters to see it. But if
Oh,
you
son of a
can
bitch.
rent it at home, you're free to do so. It's not part of the challenge to see it in the theaters. I just didn't
I-
see it on streaming.
did I tell you that I had to cancel my AMC subscription?
Really? Because AMC
Dude,
sucks?
I love going to the movies. Movies are my thing. I haven't been able to go lately because I've been busy with
Mhm.
lots of jobs, and I've had mild success, so I haven't had the chance to. But going to the movies is something I do solitarily. I do like to do it by myself. I love going to
Uh-huh.
the movies. I went the other day, and they wouldn't let me in because I had my electric scooter. And Marcus,
Oh.
I always have my electric scooter because it's the only way I can get between my chess lessons. It's the
Wow.
only way. So there isn't a day where I don't have my scooter with me. So that means there isn't a day when I can see movies anymore,
Wow.
specifically AMC, because I haven't tried to go to a different one. I'll try to
Hmm.
get a Regal monthly, but I'm so fucking pissed.
Have you tried sneaking it in?
Like under my shirt?
Yeah, you can pretend to be a pregnant woman You're a
with the
thespian. Okay,
rectangular-
you can pull it off. I believe in your skills. Okay,
I
And then you
appreciate you
walk
believing
right
in my skills,
in.
but Marcus, it's not about pretending. Like I like.
okay,
What do I?
Leonardo DiCaprio could do it. Okay,
Are you trying to like?
just saying.
Are you trying to like bait me? Like, what are you trying to do right now? Leo could do it, bro.
Yeah. Jennifer Lopez could do it. Okay, if you want to be
Jenny
one
from
of
the
the
Block
greats,
could walk up there, be pregnant any day of the week.
If you wanna
Any
be
day
like
of the
one of the
Arnold
greats, you gotta
Schwarzenegger
do
did it.
He
Arnold
flexed.
Schwarzenegger
He
was-
flexed the scooter into a tiny cube that he fit into his pocket and walked right into the theater.
All right. Well, anyway, next week is is Barbarian, and then we're away the week after that because I'm in Tennessee.
Ooh, Tennessee. What are you doing in Tennessee?
We're surprising my mother for her 60th birthday.
She lives in Tennessee?
She lives in North Carolina, but I guess we're running a cabin or something in Tennessee.
Oh, that's
I don't know.
very
I'm just showing up.
fun.
I don't really know the plan. My sister was like, "Oh, I'm gonna do all this planning and all this shit." I was like, "Go for it. I'm not gonna be involved at all, but I'll show up."
Hell yeah. That's how you do it.
Bare minimum. That's me.
Hey, you know what? You're showing up. That's more than a lot of kids
Bare minimum.
do.
That's me as a son, a brother, and a lover. Bare minimum. Call my.
You know, that's
I
a
found that
high
very
that's a
funny.
high standard. It's a high standard.
Bare
Hey,
minimum.
your bare minimum is different than other people's bare minimum.
That's true. That's true. Marcus, we're here because I have challenged you to watch the first 4 episodes of House of the Dragon, which is a prequel / spinoff series of Game of Thrones, of course, love series by George R.R. Martin, finished a couple years ago from HBO. Marcus, the reason I gave you the show was because I had started watching the first episode. And right away, I felt like, oh, back to Game of Thrones, back to the thing we love. Okay, because over the summer, I rewatched all of it. I rewatched all 8 seasons
No.
because Lexi had never seen it.
No.
And watching it all fresh was really cool. It
Up
was really
until
fun.
a point.
Up until a point, yeah. But it was really cool, like in that 3rd, 4th, 5th, even 6th, even some of the 7th season to be like there. And she's like, Night King, what? Daenerys, who? Cersei. Oh, and it was really cool to like experience all that
Sure,
again.
yeah.
It reminded me of how amazing the show is. It
Yeah.
was also really fun to watch like Kit Harington start by being an awful actor. And then by the end, I think actually being a very good actor.
That's fair.
Because if you watch him in that season, he's very like, the North.
And now he's a good actor who could be in the MCU.
Yeah, he's a mouth open actor at the beginning, just like
Yeah.
like his resting face is mouth
Mhm.
open. But obviously, honestly, on the rewatch, the 8th season's still bad, but it didn't hurt as much. Is the thing, right?
Okay.
Like when we watched it live, season 8 fucking hurt. It was gut wrenching,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Now that I knew what it was, I was like, okay, this is bad. But I wasn't like heartbroken, so it was easier.
As long as it was
easier to
still
digest.
bad. Because sometimes
still
things
bad.
on the rewatch, when you know it's going to be bad, you're like, oh, actually, it was kind of good. But
No, it was still pretty bad. I mean, the thing that stuck out to me was how good of acting they still were at the end of the 8th season. They were still acting their fucking butts off. Like,
okay.
they still felt like, in terms of how they were acting,
Yeah.
they still felt like the characters that I love. It's just the sequence of events, the choices made, and the decision making was just all very, very poor. You know, at the end there.
Yeah. And the writing, yeah, there's so many bad choices being made towards
so
the
many.
end of that.
Yeah, I think, and I think the worst part of it all was just, you know, like I know they had to end things. I think just it just felt so grand and epic, and then it just felt like circumstantial. It didn't feel
Yeah.
like the decision. Nobody made any decisions was the problem.
Yeah,
right?
it felt like
Like-
nothing was earned either at the end
Yeah.
of it. It was just like stuff is happening and you can't explain why. You can't be like, oh, okay, it makes sense that these characters are making these choices. It's just like, why is any of this happening?
Yeah, and up until that point, only things happened when people made a choice, right?
Yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I want to be king, so this sequence of events of things are going to
Mhm.
happen. I'm going to kill this person, so this sequence of events are going to happen. No decisions were made at the end. They felt
Yeah.
like they were in a standing pattern. Anyway, season 8, we'll probably talk more about it as we go. The whole
Yes.
show of Game of Thrones, we'll probably talk about it. But I know you agree with me. You love the show. You love Game
I
of Thrones.
definitely agree with you. I feel like I maybe dropped off a little bit earlier than you, I guess, because I feel like how many seasons total were there?
8.
Definitely the last 2 I didn't like. And then I feel like
That's
maybe
right.
even before
I still
that.
like 7. I was still on board for 7.
Yeah,
'Cause
maybe
we had
even
watched
before that, I didn't really like.
6 a lot of 6 and maybe 5 together.
Yeah.
And I think 7 was when one of us moved out, I think, around there.
Yeah.
And I remember being like, and I was like, I still think season 7, like, honestly, some of it doesn't hold up on this rewatch. Some of it I still loved. But season 8, we all agree, sucks.
Mm-hmm.
So, Marcus, were you excited when they announced we're getting back in the world? Prequel, more dragons, more Targaryens, more war.
Wow. A bunch of things I do not care about. I'm very excited. I liked Game of Thrones. I like fantasy, but I find it very hard to get into fantasy. I'm more of a sci-fi fantasy person. I like technology involved. So if this had lasers in it, I'd be super down. That's what Game of Thrones needs more of. But I don't know. I'm more of a sci-fi fantasy. I like Dune. I like Star Wars. I like those worlds. But for Game of Thrones, it was like I was intrigued because the story was good. The content that it was based off of was good. And it was compelling. It was also something, that you kind of wanted to be a part of because everyone else was watching. So you felt like you didn't want to miss out. And then, like I said, I kind of fell off by the end of it.
But you got swept up in the midst of it all.
I definitely got swept in. So this show was announced and I was like, why? Why does this show exist? Why does it need to be here? It just it seemed like such a money grab for something that I feel like everyone agreed sucked and we didn't want any more of.
Yeah.
It feels like being.
You sound confused, but you're saying the truth. You're saying the answer, but you sound confused.
It feels like the country is in an abusive relationship with Game of Thrones, where it's like, no, I've changed. And we're like, okay, we'll take you back. And it's like, I don't trust it. I'm suspicious. I'm not going to give them a full chance. But everyone in the country is watching the show.
I don't think everyone is. I see way more people talking about Lord of the Rings than talking about the show.
Okay,
but I will say I think you're totally right. I think your hesitation going in the show is totally warranted. And I didn't have hesitation. I honestly, I cared just as much as you did. Not at all until I just rewatched all of it. And then I'm like, well, I just fucking watched it. I'm going to watch this new show. Let's go.
Yeah,
I'm fucking here. I remember everybody's name. Everything's fresh in my mind. And then I started this fucking episode. I was like, I don't know what any of these fucking people are.
I know. It's so funny because you start watching the show and you're like, oh yeah, no, I'm familiar with Game of Thrones lore. I got it. I remember all the Targaryens. And then you watch it and they introduce the first person. You're like, fuck, who was that related to?
And then eventually you get a lie and you're like, Lester, got it.
Yeah.
And then you're confused for a long time. And then it's Dorn. They said Dorn. I know Dorn. Okay. And then it's member berries. Remember Dorn?
Yeah, you can remember the places, but I don't remember every single culture that there was or name drop from the original.
Because they were based off of Spain and culture. And they were brown. So for people who don't know, this show, Game of Thrones, has a whole bunch of prequels in early development. One of them got scrapped. I forget which one it was, but they were making one and then they were starting to film and they were like, nah, fuck this, throw it away. And this came out and this is happening. And there's another one or two that they're trying to make.
Yeah.
Including a Jon Snow spinoff now. But this one is based off of one of the short stories inside of a book that George R.R. Martin wrote that collects some of the history before Game of Thrones.
Okay.
So I forget where I read it, but basically this is based off of a dry textbook that George R.R. Martin wrote that consisted of not a lot of pages. They plucked one of them. It's ooh, that one's fun and exciting. And they're making a whole show based off of that.
Yeah.
Right? Is that right?
That sounds about right. I think it was a textbook, kind of like the Silmarillion, I guess.
A lot like that, yeah.
Yeah.
Not as dry as a Silmarillion, though. That shit's fucking real dry.
It sucks.
Marcus, you can't pause for a long time and then be like, it sucks. I'm out. Bye. That's the thing.
Mic drop. The show sucks.
Marcus, I'm so disappointed because there's one or two things I did like, but you're right. The show is not good, and for so many different reasons. So let's just start by talking about the concept and the plot. what is this show about and where do we start?
Okay, so I don't remember. Like, I'm gonna be honest. Like, when I hear fantasy stuff, I feel like, and you start to give me the lore and like, the first men were begot on the Isle of Kings, and I just don't care. I just zone out. I'm like, look, knowing this information is not gonna be a part of the actual narrative that we're watching. I don't need to know any of the lore to understand who hates who, who's fucking who, and who wants to kill who, you know?
Unless you're making something bad.
Yes, sure.
They do that in bad things all the time. Like Hellboy, the remake started with one of these things where it was like, in old King Arthur time, whatever witch got tied up. And I'm like, no, just start the thing.
Just start the
Game
thing.
of Thrones is so good.
Figure it out.
Game of Thrones just starts.
Yeah. And so I don't know, it takes place a bunch of years before the original Game of Thrones. I'm fucking like, it doesn't
172.
super matter in the grand scheme of things.
About 2 centuries.
Yeah, I feel like going into this, I had to really do some like mental gymnastics to convince myself like not to be so partial about it and immediately pick sides going into the episode. I was like,
Sure.
I'm gonna really like take some time and refigure
I
my
appreciate
brain
that.
so I get hyped
Good.
about the show. And so I genuinely went in kind of being like, okay, this might be bad, but it could be very good.
Or at least passable.
I
think, you know what this show's biggest problem is? There's no way to not compare it to Game of Thrones. And this show is not Game of Thrones at all. This show,
agree.
it doesn't feel like Game of Thrones. It feels more like a bad version of like Tudors or like something like that, where it feels like a prestige drama that comes out of HBO that happens to take place in a fantasy world, but is a little dry, is a little humdrum, is a little like fucking too serious for its britches. But this show is a part of this franchise. So the thing we're going to compare it to through all this talk is Game of Thrones. And all in all, Game of Thrones, wonderful show.
Yeah.
Arguably one of the best, some people say.
For amount of time.
I just saw, you can take the good, you take the bad, you take it all, and there you got Game of Thrones, seasons 1 through 8. And but that show starts off, I just saw it recently. It starts off so good. Nothing is explained. You just meet King Robert.
Yeah.
You just meet Ned Stark. You just meet the family. You just see Arya wants to be an archer, but she can't.
Yeah.
It's so simple. It's so human. It's so grounded. This is so big right away, but like big in a way you don't care about.
Yeah, I feel like it brings in a lot of the separate lore for things that you're just kind of like, I don't give a shit about this because it's not that big of a show. Like, right, the scope is relatively like focused on a couple of locations, but it feels bigger because it feels like we're supposed to know stuff that they're not telling us.
Yeah, they didn't start. Game of Thrones starts with character. This started with plot. It's really simple. That's all. It's a rookie mistake.
And speaking of beginnings, I have a mini rant to go on.
Okay,
and
open the floor.
You mentioned that it is hard not to compare the show to Game of Thrones.
Yeah.
It would help if the show didn't start with the same fucking theme song as the original Game of Thrones series. This is a different fucking show. It's not the same show at all. Anime has the fucking decency to give us a fucking new opening song every single time. Every single season, we get a new little opening song and it's fun and it's great. I understand we don't do that in America. That's fine. But this is a whole ass different fucking show. This is a spin-off show. That's like if Angel had the same intro song as Buffy. It doesn't fucking make sense. It's a different show. I understand.
Do Star Treks all have the same opening?
No, I don't think so. It's under the umbrella.
That's the only thing I could think of to compare it to.
It's under the umbrella of fucking Game of Thrones. I get it. We all know this. We understand that going into it. Have a fucking different thing. Set it apart in some way. It has the same fucking, almost the same intro graphics. It's like, oh wow, we're going over a map and things are gonna pop up, but this time it's blood. Daron pointed out that there's like the House of Blood and Fire and all this shit, right? Whatever the fuck Targaryens are. That could have been cool. Have the whole thing blood and then everything lights on fire at the end. Something, just a little bit more. It's just blood going throughout the map and then things popping up. We fucking saw that already.
I
I'm
think
angry.
I agree with you so much, but I think it's funny that Daron pointed that out to you because Lexi is the one that pointed out to me. It's like, oh, it's like the bloodlines, and I was like, oh.
It
I also had that
sucked.
same kind of
It
moment, but
sucked.
I don't mind the song being the same. I would have been fine with it. And I don't even care you're trying to copy the opening, but an uncreative person is the one that was in charge of copying it. Like they saw the map and they're like, well, let's just do that same thing with blood. That's exactly what you're so right. You can do that same effect.
Yeah.
You can do that same feeling, but it needs to be special and dynamic or something because the blood just didn't work. And the thing about the reason that the Game of Thrones one's so special is because when you read a fantasy book, what's on the first page of every fantasy book you ever read?
A map.
A map. It was paying homage. It served a purpose.
Yes.
And I didn't realize, I might have known back in the day, but I didn't realize until now again, when I was watching Game of Thrones, that they changed the opening depending on where they were. It served a purpose. It was a dynamic. It was interesting. And this is just blood and a whole bunch of sigils I'll never know and never care about.
No, I thought it was going to change. I was like, okay, well, it starts off with just being blood or whatever. It'll change episode by episode based on what's going on or something. 4 episodes deep, and it's the same fucking thing.
Wait, hold on. We need to stop because did they say she got kicked out of her house because of Game of Thrones?
Yeah, she did.
Oh, okay. I had to watch the finale by myself on my phone because my mom kicked me out after the second to last episode.
I've been privy to Daron rants about Game of Thrones, and it's not even on air. But she just has so much resentment towards Game of Thrones that I get it.
She started as a real fan.
Yes,
she
read the books.
She was there.
You know, she was great. Yeah, big fan. And then just kind of disappointment city.
Marcus, I just for a second, and so we have a little more focus because we're all over the place right now.
I
do want to talk about something.
We're doing great.
We're just shitting. That's all we're doing. We're just shitting. I do want to say there is one thing I really like about the show, and that is the main character. I think the actress right now who we have playing Rhaenyra is Emma Darcy. Is that right? Yes. Emma Darcy. I think she is very good. I think she has a hard task in front of her. Yeah. I think a lot of this show is fucking falling on her goddamn shoulders. Yeah. And I never hate when she's on screen. I like and she's young. I mean, she's playing 15 to 17-year-old, and she can't be more than 20, if even that. And there's a big list of things that she has to do, and I think she's doing a good job.
I agree with that statement. I don't like her character, but I like the actor.
No, we're not talking about a character. We're not talking about her character. We're not talking about the choices she makes.
She's doing a great job with what she's being given.
She has a really good like thinking face and a resting regal face and like her face emotes without moving a lot because she's going to be a queen really well. Yeah. Like it's really good. Like that quiet acting is very necessary in fantasy, very necessary for a show like this. She's doing good.
She's doing great. I actually think most of the actors are doing a good job. Let's extend the praise. Okay. I think most of them are doing a pretty good job. No. I think it's just kind of this, the
I like
setting
the
and the situation.
The Knight's doing good. I think the Knight looks, he's okay. Oh, you know who I do like? I do think, what's his name? Rhys Ifans, Otto Hightower, the Hand of the King. I think he knows exactly what kind of show he's in. I think he gets the Game of Thrones thing. Yeah. You have to be charming, but like conniving underneath it. He is really good for me. He's been one of those actors. He was the lizard in Spider-Man. The Amazing Spider-Man.
Cool.
He's been one of those regal actors, Shakespearean actors that's been around for a long time, and he's great. I also like the guy with the locks. I also like him. Yes, Nick, even though Lexi thinks.
Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Lexi thinks his wig is really bad. I really like him. Fair.
It's so hard for me to stand here and like listen to positive things. To sit here and listen to positive things about the show, and there are stuff. I mean, the set design. Marcus, they did a great job, just like adding a couple of things from the original.
Marcus, I needed to say that because I think I'm done. I think that's all I have. And now that we're talking about cast, I want everyone to know acting's really hard. I respect everyone in the show. Okay. I don't think anyone does a bad job in this show. I think the show is miscast.
Okay. Marcus, that's interesting.
I
Are you talking about the king?
I feel so well. We can talk about him next, but I feel so bad. I feel so bad because I want to give Matt Smith props. He
Mhm.
is a revered actor. He's been Doctor Who. He's been in all
Sure.
these big things.
Yeah.
He's been in The Crown. He's an award-winning actor.
Mhm.
Why the fuck was he cast as Daemon the Demon Targaryen? He looks like a lanky skater boy that is a bad wig and he's in the wrong place. Please tell me why Matt Smith is supposed to be this foreboding fucking evil ass fucking brother king.
Yeah.
And I feel bad because some of it has to do with the way he looks.
Yes.
But like my man just doesn't look like Daemon Targaryen to me.
I get that. Yeah. I feel like fake fans out there, racist people, make such a big deal when they add like a minority to something, when really the casting should be for lanky British men as tough guys. Don't do it. Okay?
No.
Don't cast your lanky British dudes as tough guys. It's never going to work out. I don't believe him as an intimidating figure.
No, and here's the thing. I know he is a wonderful actor because there are moments in the show where I'm like, oh, Matt Smith, you're a really good actor. I kind of like this scene because you're good. But I feel so bad because I'm like, but you ain't it, dude. You shouldn't have been the choice.
No.
Because when he fights those crab people, when he goes and surrenders, and there's like this big moment where he's like, is he gonna fight all by himself? And I'm like, Matt Smith, you're acting well.
Yeah.
Like, I don't hate you. When he comes in with the crown and he has to give up the crown because he's like, you have the shores now, my king. I'm like, damn it, Matt Smith, you are acting really well, but I don't believe it. Why is it him? You know?
Yeah. Hold on. Let me read Darren's comment. Yeah. It's this disease of like, look, we care about representation, but they're not backing it up with cohesive diversity behind the scenes. That's true too.
That's also true.
Yeah.
Lexi was like, you make the show more diverse than you give him the worst wig, Travis. I didn't think his wig was bad. Anyway.
I didn't think it was that bad either, but the wigs in general were pretty bad in this show.
In general, they're bad.
The wig budget must be very bad.
I feel bad, but like, and I know they're just trying to hire the best actors, but you need to hire actors that look good in a white blonde wig.
Yeah.
You just do.
Yeah, or someone
people,
intimidating. Like Matt Smith, real life, might be able to kick my ass. I don't actually know, but in this role, I'm not scared of him. I'm not worried when he's on screen. He
needs to look like evil behind his eyes, right?
Yeah.
It's not even about his lankiness, because lanky people can be scary, but like. No. They need people with eyebrows. Yeah, they do.
Eyebrows would have helped a lot in that situation.
Oh, man. Eyebrows would have helped a lot.
Yeah.
And here's the thing. I looked at pictures of the guy who plays the king, Viserys, the first. He's like a good looking dude, but they slapped this fucking blonde ass wig on him, and I think he looks silly.
Yeah.
He looks silly.
Yeah.
I think he's a good actor, but I can't get past like what they're doing with him.
Yeah, it feels like early superhero movies where like it looked kind of silly and goofy, and they couldn't figure out how to make superheroes look cool on screen yet.
Yeah.
And I feel it's this feels like the fantasy version of whatever is going on there.
Yeah. I just feel bad because I don't think the actress that plays Rhaenyra, the main character's best friend that marries the king, I don't think she's bad. I just don't like her character like enough to like have an opinion on her acting, because the character just feels so like, I don't know. Game of Thrones, everyone felt so smart, even the dumb people, everyone here just feels dumb.
Yes, I agree with that. I think there was a point. What I personally really enjoyed about Game of Thrones, and what I think really drew a lot of people in, was honestly Cersei. That was her name, right?
Yeah.
It's been so long. The queen. She was manipulative. She was like playing chess. There was other people playing chess against her. Like, it was just so good. I like that side of like plotting. It felt like Death Note. It felt like there was mind games being played that we were all getting to watch. And it was fun seeing who was going to backstab who and how. In this show, I feel like maybe it should be trying to set itself apart from Game of Thrones, but it's obviously not. doing any work
not.
to do so. So then
It's
why
not
not
trying
at
to
least
do that.
borrow the good qualities of Game of Thrones too? Why not have more plotting and stuff? I feel like they kind of are, but everyone feels too stupid to actually come up with a good scheme, like you said.
Yeah, I think so. Like, and even the people like the guy with the seahorse and the seahorse on his chest and the locks. He's like he wanted
Oh,
the king
yeah.
to marry his daughter. I like him. He's a good actor. He
Mhm.
does good work, and like I buy some of what he's doing
Yeah.
because of his performance, but the logistics of it don't make any goddamn sense to me. This whole fight for these crab people's land and all this
Mhm.
shit, like I'm supposed to just buy that the king and his council are so dumb that they're not like, hey, we're your biggest shipping export people and we can't get through here because of these dangerous people. Will you help us kill them? Nah. Okay, well, I'm gonna go do it myself. Cool. Okay. And then they get there, and Marcus, there's a 2-year fucking Jesus
Yeah.
fucking Christ. There's a 2-year time jump in this fucking show within 2 episodes
I like
where with Seahorse Guy. I'm glad we're fucking making some progress, but the only reason we're making progress is because of time skips. Fucking Seahorse Guy and Damon couldn't beat 2,000 crab people.
Yeah.
And Marcus, this is why. This is the show's genius explanation why. Because when they go there, they run in the caves.
I'm you know what? I'm gonna suspend my disbelief pretty hard on that one and just assume there was more strategy than them just hiding in the caves.
Marcus, no, because the way they won was for Damon to go be bait, and then they left the caves. And then they fought them.
If that was the case, they could have just put the dragon in the cave and blow the fire
said.
directly into it.
To be fair, I think the cave was smaller, but exactly. That's what I mean. Like, if that's, I'm not a fucking genius war person, right?
Yeah.
But if the thing is they went into the caves and they wouldn't come out, then you lock them in.
Yeah.
You starve off their supply. Lexi made a great point. He's like, why didn't the dragon just put a rock in front of the front door? And I was like, genius. Fucking genius.
You would've won the
Lexi,
war.
fucking war general.
I don't
You
think
would've
it was
run
the
war.
cave. I'm just gonna give them the big benefit of the doubt. I don't think that they were all hiding in a cave, and then that's how they
That's
were.
what they
selling them.
said.
They said that.
They said it. I'm not making it up. They said, Lexi, Darren, back me up. Somebody in the chat, back me up. They said we can't win this war because every time we attack, they rush back into the cave.
Oh,
that's what they said.
They said it, Darren. Oh,
Yes.
no. Oh God, that's so stupid.
That's what I mean. And the reason you wanted to suspend it, because honestly, it wasn't a bad scene. We got a little battle. It was kind of cool. It was like,
sure,
you know.
Also, the fact that that guy, Matt Smith's character, also is such a little bitch. Like, he is just a fucking little bitch. His brother sends a letter, hey, we're sending help. We don't want to see you die out there. And he's like, no. And he throws a tantrum and he kills everybody and wins the war because he threw a tantrum. Like, what the fuck? What a little bitch.
And you know what? It might not be Matt Smith's fault, because now that I'm remembering the first episode, Daemon Targaryen's fighting in a tournament against people and is doing like stupid underhand shit, and he loses to a good fighter. So I apologize to Matt Smith. If the point of Daemon Targaryen is to be a little bitch, then he's fucking crushing it.
Then he's killing it.
Then my problem isn't with Matt Smith. My problem's with the characterization of that's a bad choice to make for this character.
Yeah.
The character should have been this foreboding fucking demon. So either the George R. R. Martin or the writers of the show took a choice for this character and it was wrong, or Matt Smith was the wrong choice. Either way, something is wrong. And he's half the show.
Yeah. It's also hard because when you compare to Game of Thrones, you're watching it, and Game of Thrones, it was slightly manipulative, but in a fun way, because media can do that, where you're following Eddard Stark, who sort of is this quintessential hero guy, and then he dies, and you're like, oh shit, okay, there's stakes here. It was like a big twist for a lot of people who didn't read the book or know anything about it.
I didn't know,
They didn't see it coming. And you saw the game being played, and you're like, I get it now. There are stakes. Anyone can die, and everyone is going to try to stab you in the back. It established characters. It made you like characters. It set up the world really well. And this I don't care about it. They're
It
just
gave you
kind
people
of
to
like
love. It gave you people to hate. This is making me very mid on everyone.
they're banking on you just being so horny for Game of Thrones that you're gonna watch it. They're like, oh,
And
these
it worked.
fucking
I watched
stupid
it.
idiots. They're gonna watch anything we put in front of them. That's what it feels like.
Marcus, I got a million more points. Do you have a point before I go on another rant?
Oh,
I
that's
don't want to
fair.
be take
No, I
take
mean,
all
I
the-
did want to just talk about how, like,
Please.
I just wanted to talk about how much I didn't like any single character. And it was upsetting because
Yeah.
did you play the Telltale Game of Thrones video
With
game?
you, I played the first chapter, but I didn't play any more than that.
Even that was not the Game of Thrones writers. It had no one involved. It was just a side story set in the Game of Thrones world with several different characters that you followed. I
With
was
third
fucking
string
invested.
characters, right?
Third string characters didn't matter to anything. I was invested in those characters so much. I was scared in every choice I made because I knew that there were like people watching around and there were going to be consequences, and it was fun.
Someone's
It
dying.
felt like it was in the world of Game of Thrones. And this show does a worse job of making you feel like you're in the world of Game of Thrones than that game.
And it
did.
also like it feels like a disservice because I think one of the things that was great about Game of Thrones is Game of Thrones wasn't scared. I feel so bad about comparing it, but Game of Thrones wasn't scared for you to fall in love with second or third string characters, right? And then you could prop them up and they'd be important later. Like the leader, the old bald man that's a leader of the guard, the leader of the King's Guard in this show, House of the Dragon. He says like 2 lines, maybe 3 in the whole show. I liked him.
Yeah.
I liked him. I was like, you do a good job. You have like a good presence.
Mhm.
And I wanted more. The knight that could fight that ended up being her knight that she fucks.
Yeah.
Cool character. I want to
Cool
hear more
character.
about him. Fucking oh, even though like the lady that fucking demon wants to like marry. Oh, there was Tully,
Mm-hmm.
one of the people from the council. The only one that I thought was actually like, okay, that's the one that the king actually, the bigger guy that the king actually went to for advice once or twice. He's a Tully. He kind of made himself sound like Samwell from which is cool, which is a cool little play on like, oh, they've always been kind of smart and this kind of person. I liked him. But the show was like, no. Let's spend 30 minutes on this blonde girl and her brunette best friend so that way it hurts you more when she marries her father. And I'm just like, no, that's dumb. That's just stupid.
I think it could have been compelling.
Could
I
have.
think inherently that like thought process isn't a dumb one to go through. I do think that they could
sure.
have had some more emotional weight behind it. But even then, we just time jumped 2 years as soon as it happened.
They
and so
filmed their whole wedding. Exactly, Daron.
we didn't even get to see it. So it was just like annoying.
They took such weird choices. And you made a comment about the set dressing. Listen, the people who make shows like this is super impressive, everything they do. It's just the choices are mind-boggling. There's so many scenes in huge empty chambers with lots of candles that we're never going to see again.
Yeah.
In Game of Thrones, all the big chambers were set pieces. They were important. They had rich history. They felt lived in. This one, there was a scene in the second episode where she's talking to her best friend in a room with a big circle of candles and they're lighting them. I'm like, where are you?
Yeah.
What's here? What's important? There are people around.
Yeah.
I don't even know what the fuck you are. Are you in the castle? What part of the castle? Are we ever going to come here again? Why is there a giant circle? What's the circle? You know? I'm not getting these answers. I never will.
You're right. They put a lot of thought into every piece of, I feel like, putting Game of Thrones together. And this
Oh my God, yeah.
it's just like, it felt like they were trying to save as much money as possible by reusing all the old shit that they had already from the first series.
Well, and that's not even fair or true because they made a new throne. They tried to make a throne that looks closer to what the books is. Because
it looks
in
exactly
George
the same.
R.
It just has more swords on the ground. It's supposed to be the chair itself is supposed to be huge and bigger. The chair's the same. Around it, they added swords.
All right. Well,
I only know because I just had this conversation with Daron about it. I was like, "Why is the chair?" I was like,
trying to give us
"Stupid."
something.
There's swords on the floor everywhere.
And she's like, it's because it's supposed to be this giant, like 1,000 swords, not like 50.
Yeah.
So, Marcus, God, I have so much to say, but I'm just going to ask you a question.
Sure.
We watched the 4th episode. This 4th episode might make me not watch any more of the show.
Wow.
Marcus, how do you feel
about incest?
About Rhaenyra and Daemon.
So for those of you listening, if you haven't watched episode 4, Rhaenyra goes about town, sort of Jasmine style, and
Oh yeah, it reminded me just like Jasmine. I was like, we gonna get Jasmine?
And
I
then
was
she
like,
ends
okay.
up having a makeout sesh with her uncle in the brothel. And I really didn't like it. I got the idea, right? You have her escaping, trying to have her own agency as a person. I get it. Jasmine did it too. I understand. You want to escape. You want to have sexual freedom. Sure. Go to the brothel. Fuck a random guy. That would have been awesome. Do anything. But making out with your uncle, I get it because they're Targaryens, and I'm sure people are going to say to us, it's what they do. But it was disturbing to watch, and I feel like they didn't play it for that effect. You know?
Marcus, I just have a question.
Sure.
Like a rhetorical question is, in what world does a show think that I want to watch a 40-minute escapade that is the culmination of years of grooming done by her uncle to lead to a 17-year-old sexual awakening that then leads for her to rape someone who works for her?
Did she rape him? I feel like it was
Marcus,
consensual.
did you see his fucking face?
I
his
thought it was
face
consensual.
Nah. Lexi argue with me too, but I'm gonna fucking die in this hill because coercion rape still fucking rape. His face, he didn't say yes. He looked distraught. He said no. He did not want to be there. But she basically, with her eyes, said, "I'm the fucking queen, bitch. You better fucking get over here." Marcus, that's coercion rape.
I mean, look,
When someone says verbally and visually no,
she has power over him, and
She
she's
sure does.
using that power. You know,
She sure is.
It's the same thing when bosses, have sex with their employees. It's something that you should
sure
not
is.
do. So there is something there. I'm
But
not
also
gonna say-
they start with a scene of him giving her the necklace 2 years ago. He's been grooming her.
He's been grooming. Oh, the uncle. Yeah. The uncle.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah.
I don't want to watch that.
Yeah. No, it was gross. That was definitely gross. But then I hated too that it was like played as a positive. Like it felt like it was like, oh wow, look at her. She's really like going for it. Now she can go and have sex and be free and like discover her womanhood. And it was like, what?
No, they're like using like wokeness to like fucking like look. She's like, I was like, no, but you're making it a consequence of her ancestral uncle. Like, give her that power and that sexual freedom by herself. Like, that's such a good concept. That's such a good arena to tackle.
Yeah.
And that is the Rhaenyra that I want to see. That's what I thought we were going to get.
Sure.
I thought we were going to get this badass girl who was going to turn into this woman and fucking take charge and realize she deserved to be. Like, this show isn't doing what I wanted to do ever.
Yeah.
Like, I just wanted the king to, like, as he was up on the crown, like, call Rhaenyra up. It's like, no, your place is up here standing next to me. And her, like, learning how to govern and her joining the small council and, like, her having good ideas and them, like, listening to those ideas. Like, that is the show I want to see, not fucking this.
I thought it was going to be her becoming queen and having to overcome a whole society that doesn't want her to be queen, which
she can fail.
Still might be.
And well, I know it's not, because I know, remember, Dany was going to be the first queen of the 7 kingdoms, and then Cersei ended up being the first queen. So she doesn't become queen. We know this because we know the future.
I forgot about that.
So either her brother or her uncle or something's going to happen.
Yeah.
So I'm even okay with that. I'm okay that the payoff isn't going to get there. But you need me to like fucking root for her before we get there. She's making poor ass decision after poor ass decision.
I'm not rooting for her in any way. I guess she's a kid, so I'm kind of cutting her some slack.
She's also a fucking kid.
But I make one character in the show interesting to watch. Make one single character interesting to watch, and I'll be invested.
I thought we were going to get it. When the Hand of the King went to Daemon over on Dragonstone to get it back, and there was that tension, and she showed up on the dragon and de-escalated it, and the uncle fucking said,
I like
fine,
that.
I don't fuck. I was like, oh, that was the moment. That was the first moment I looked at Lexi and said, that feels like Game of Thrones. That moment. That like power battle chess kind of game.
Yeah.
Okay, here we go. and then they invalidate all of it.
No, yeah, exactly. I agree. Darren made an interesting point too. I feel like we were talking about it while watching it, and she was saying how like I feel like the show has been really putting out that it's like, oh, we're like being better to women this time around. Like I've been seeing articles
In
about
selling
it
your
and stuff like that.
daughter off to marry the king and have his kids, like in what way?
Exactly. But it feels still like, okay, it's not, most of the episodes aren't written by women, aren't directed by women. It's like, okay, so then in what ways are you actually doing this? Are you changing the narrative? Because if Game of Thrones had a lot of problems with using women as set dressing and all this stuff, you know? And I guess this is a little better than Game of Thrones, which is not a high bar, but it's not like setting any new
In what way is it better? Give me one way.
There's less naked women everywhere.
You mean this
really
fourth
the
episode
only
when we
way.
went to a brothel and there were just a million people being fucked?
It's fine if it's in a brothel because she was also wanting to participate in fucking. There was naked dudes. I feel like there was naked dudes too. It's fine if there's both. You can have naked people. But at least this episode,
sure.
The fourth episode was also written and directed. Well, it wasn't written by. It was written by a man. It was directed by a woman, at least. So if it did feel a little bit like she was trying to almost work maybe against the script to actually make it better. I don't know.
Maybe. I don't understand how I'm supposed to root for a character who like fucking she didn't get her rocks off with her uncle, so then she got her rocks off with her fucking guard. I was just like, what is this? Am I supposed to just like buy this?
Yeah. I mean,
like,
hey,
and I also would have been fine if she was like confused by the uncle, and there was this whole she went and she's like, oh, I don't know, I'm confused. I was like, okay, fine, that's
give us a moment,
fair.
Give us a moment. Wait, were you rooting for Cersei at any moment during Game of Thrones? She fucked her brother.
There were moments that I felt bad for all the shit that was happening and how she felt like she had to be the bad guy, but overall, no, she was a very bad person. But the show knew that and made me hate her. That was the point.
Sure, but what about Jaime?
Was trying to do so. Jaime, oddly enough,
Jaime fucked his sister. Jaime was fucking his sister.
Jaime was one of the weirdest fucking characters because I think that character shouldn't work at all. But I think the actor is what made him so charming. And like by the end, you're rooting for him. You're rooting for him all the way up until the end and hoping he doesn't go back to Cersei. And then he disappoints us all. But
sure, yes. But
so no, principally, I'm not opposed to incest in a show. Apparently that doesn't completely write off a character for me. Apparently that's where I'm at. This one's sleazy. I don't know.
Yeah. I get it. I understand the juxtaposition. Like having one scene right after another was not great for me.
But also
either.
principally the selling the daughter off and not like having any consequences to it.
Yeah.
Like,
well,
like
I feel like right
now
it's a problem, right? Like you're talking about selling the daughter off. I get it, but I think they have to do more work to get themselves out of that situation. Like give her some more agency and show like what else she is doing to kind of get out of that. And I think her having sex with this guy is kind of her first step towards maybe having some more agency in her own life, and maybe she'll start to play the game a little bit.
Marcus, hot take. I have a feeling it's not going to fucking matter at all.
That's fair.
Because tell me where else in the episode it came up that they fucked at all.
Who fucked?
Her and the guard.
I mean, hey, it was one episode. They fucked towards the end of the episode. I feel like
it was in the middle.
Okay. Well, they fucked, in the middle of
an hour and 15-minute episode, almost the length of a movie.
Ah, man.
But
it's
also,
because,
here's the thing.
Okay, go ahead. I was gonna say I'm really harping on the fact that I don't give a shit about any of these characters at all. Like I care about characters in an hour and a half movie. You can make me care about 5 characters at least, or whatever, and I will care about all 5 of those characters. Plenty of movies I've seen that made me care about multiple characters in an hour and a half. Each episode is like an hour and a half long, and they still, after 4 hour-and-a-half sessions, I don't give a shit about anybody.
Yeah, Daron, you're right. She did drink the moon tea for Sir Kristen, not for Damon. But I don't mean plot wise. I mean like character wise. Like how is she affected? Like I don't know. And I think, and I'm harping about this one thing, but I mean the whole show about this point. Her best friend, the Hightower girl, the one that marries the king. principally, obviously, I'm against it. It sucks to
Sure.
have that happen. But like, the show can get away with doing that if we had moments with her do like it's
Yeah.
there a little bit in the background. Like, I think the actress isn't doing a bad job. And I actually thought how she handled meeting the king when he first lost his wife, I thought the actress handled that really
Yeah.
well. And I was really excited to see the consequences to her character. But again, I feel like we're halfway through the show and we haven't dealt with that. And at some point, really
Yeah.
soon, we're getting another time jump
Yeah.
and a huge one where they're going to change the actresses.
I think I need people to have more conversations is kind of my
Yes.
biggest thing. Because you keep
Yeah.
saying that too. Like, I feel like if there were moments, like intimate moments that we got with the characters where we got to
Yes.
see what they were thinking, maybe like see what they're planning next, like what's going on, then the show would feel a little bit more character driven. But we just feel
Yeah.
like I feel like things are happening and I'm not sure where anybody stands on anything. And we see
Mhm.
bad things happening to characters and they're just kind of like seemingly ambivalent towards it. You can tell they don't like it. You know, like we get
That's
the
true.
scene where she's having sex with the king and you're just like, okay, obviously she's not into that. But like a
But how
conversation.
does she feel?
Yeah,
What's
yeah,
the-
exactly. Like a conversation somewhere between her and her best friend or something, or like I don't know. They're touching on things, right? They're not doing it. It's not like it's not there, right? Like the fact that they're having a hard time talking to each other when they used to be best friends. I see all of that. I see that they're touching on it little by little, but I need more of that to
In
make me
four-
like them.
In 4 extra long Game of Thrones episodes, we would have gotten so much more about their
Mhm.
characters.
Yeah.
Like, every episode of that show felt like a character piece, and that show followed 17 main characters. We got 5 in this one.
Yeah,
We have time. They've proven they know how to do it.
yeah,
And like, I love what you just said, because I think their friendship of the two of them, whoever wrote the pitch for this show about those two best friends being the main focal point, and obviously hiring actresses that have chemistry together,
yeah.
they were all in the know. They totally understood the assignment. But then when it came to writing these episodes, it seems like they're disinterested in it. That's one
Yeah.
of the most compelling aspects of the show, that friendship. But
yeah.
it just feels like bickering. It doesn't feel like character. It doesn't feel like they're best friends and she's now her mom. Like, that should be fucking gut wrenching. And maybe we're gonna get a scene or two, but it's gonna be too little too late by that point, because then the show's gonna be over.
Yeah, I think that if the show had forever to run or was a super duper long season, I feel like it would have been a little better. We can take our
Yeah.
time with these moments, and sure, these moments that we should be having conversations about sooner can last 2 years, 4 years, whatever, because we have like 20 episodes. But we don't have
Yeah.
that long, and it feels like they're wasting our time. Like, I am busy as shit. And media needs to respect my time at least a little bit. Because if you don't fucking
true.
respect my time, why am I going to invest my time into this? Why am I going to invest my money into the fucking merchandise you're going to sell? Why? If you don't give a shit
Yeah.
about me and trying to make a good show in the hour and a half that I'm giving to you.
Darren says it's all eye contact. It's useless. I agree. And oh gosh,
It's
and now
eye
I'm just thinking
contact.
about
That's how they're telling stories through eye contact in this show. It's
That's
the
so
actors
dumb.
trying to do what the script isn't doing.
well, it's also probably the directors, because they have
the
to choose
directors,
to
yeah.
stay on that shot of the eye contact.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah. But it's almost like in the script it says she gives them a look as if to say
And a
5
whole
sentences
paragraph.
long.
Yeah.
And it's like, no, say the 5 sentences. But Marcus, I don't have a game prepared or anything, but I think this might be fun. Just because we know this is one of the things they've chosen to make a spin-off is, no matter what, be cynical if you want, but they were and are going to make Game of Thrones spin-offs, right?
Yeah. That's the plan.
We have tried in the past to come up with different scenarios and things that they could have done. So what are some ideas that we can come up with that they could have made a show about for Game of Thrones? Either the past, the future, the spin-off, concurrently, anything. I'll
This is-
start because I have one in mind.
Yes, good.
As I was
Good,
watching
start,
this,
'cause
I
I don't
think
know that much about the Game of Thrones, so it's gonna take me a minute.
it's totally fine. If you don't have any, that's fine. This is mostly just an excuse for me to bring up my one idea that I
Okay.
think is perfect. You should come out with a 5-episode maxi series or whatever you call it. Like, not a show. Like, don't pitch it as a show. Say, we're going to come out with a 5-episode series that's just Robert's Rebellion. That way, you get to give us 5 episodes or just one season. Like, that's the whole pitch.
Mhm.
And you make all this money, just make 5 episodes of a beautiful battle. Think of the Battle of the Bastards. Think about where, yes, easy money. Think about where Game of Thrones was its strongest when we were so hype about it. Battle of
Yeah,
the Bastards
yeah.
was, I would say, pinnacle Game of Thrones content of people being excited about it.
Mhm.
5 episodes of a young Ned Stark, of a young Robert swinging his hammer around, of
Yeah.
a young whoever the guy was that ended up marrying Jon Snow's actual father, like
Mhm.
him, like all of them in that like war torn time. That is how you make a prequel, because we know all those characters, we know all the history, and in that scenario, you can skip it.
Yeah.
You can skip it. Just get to the battle. Just get to the stakes. We know the whole thing. They have most of it written. We know the whole thing. And I
Mhm.
remember Zach one time telling us about a cool thing about how Jon Snow's real father actually had like a cape or a cloak or something that did like blink from D&D, where it always seemed like he was just in the wrong place, and that's why he was one of the best fighters.
Oh yeah.
Like, that kind of stuff is so cool.
That would have been cool.
Easy money.
Yeah. Yeah. God, you're right. That's an easy thing to do and totally.
Oh,
worth it.
and Darren was like, go to the Reddit, get the fan casting. 100%.
Yeah.
If
yeah.
like Marvel knows, hey,
Mhm.
fans are obsessed with this person, let's just give it to them. Why fight it? Fine.
Yeah.
It's cool.
No, I
Just
agree.
just do that, you know? Like, they should probably just put Emilia Clarke in Aquaman too. Like, just give the fans what they want. Just make money. Just make money. Do you have any thoughts or ideas?
Sure, I'll come up with something. I want a 2-part movie,
Ooh.
right, about
Yeah.
Patches, the court jester from the Game of Thrones books, who's not in the TV show, and I want his origin story. And then I want him to kind of be rerouted back into Game of Thrones, right? And then you're like, wait, he wasn't in Game of Thrones. This didn't happen in Game of Thrones. Boom! Reboot of Game of Thrones. And Patches is the introduction to it.
I'm gonna have to have you explain to me the story of Patches really quick, but are you basically pitching like a Lion King 1.5 where he was there all along?
Yeah. And then it leads to a reboot.
Who's Patches? Why is he important?
It's just not. He's
You made him up?
Patches is Lord Stannis Baratheon's court fool and jester at Dragonstone. His face is tattooed in motley, earning his name. His given name is unknown. He's a mysterious guy.
He's also a prophet?
He's
Darren
also
saying?
a prophet. Mm-hmm.
Marcus, I think you said that slightly in jest. Jester. But I think that's a wonderful idea. Little mini movies about a whole bunch of side characters we can get to.
Yeah.
And like make little illusions and like give it to a good writer, because a good writer can write a good movie. Like, you can make a standalone movie that has winks and nods that's just a good movie in this world. That's genius.
Yeah.
He
knows.
almost drowned and he knows the future, but no one listens to him.
Yeah.
That's such a cool character.
He's very
I didn't know about him.
He's a cool motherfucker. Also, they have zebras that they ride that are cool as fuck in Game of Thrones books that don't ever make it into the TV show. Feel like that would have been cool to see.
Oh my, okay.
I just want some
All right.
zebras.
I think Dorne is a place where there's a lot of subject material.
Dorne,
You know,
a whole Dorne show would be great. Give us anything.
I think it could be bad, but if you give it to a good writer, I think you can make a good Dorne
all
show.
of this stuff.
The
could be
power
bad.
struggle, now that prince is dead and that new prince is like young, like just redo the Dorne is just on her. She is on one right now. She is so bad. I can hear the vitriol for what the show has wronged her and about the books. There were 3 heirs. Have them fight. That's a whole fucking show right there.
Do
Dorne.
anything. Just like, if you're gonna really fucking try to make a Game of Thrones cinematic universe like they're fucking doing, like, just
Honestly, they should print money. Go for it. Fine, whatever.
go
Just
for
make
it.
it
But
good.
make it good. Have good writers. Have good people. Like, what is happening? I don't understand. Why? Have someone read the script. Have someone watch the show. Like, I don't know.
I
It
don't
just
know.
seems
Well,
like
to be
it's
fair,
so easy to prevent this from being bad.
Well, to be fair, Marcus, we got this one. Remember, there was one. They either started filming the pilot, they were about to film the pilot, or they did film the pilot, scrapped. They threw the whole thing away. So think about how bad that one must have been. If this is the one we did get.
Yeah.
Female showrunners on that one.
Oh, the one that
about
was canceled
Daron?
and scrapped? Oh no.
Oh, was it? Well, maybe I'm speaking out of turn. Maybe that one was great and it was politics. That would suck.
Oh
That would be
no,
that would be awful.
sucks.
That would be
Oh,
awful.
man.
Oh, fuck.
God.
Damn. Well, Marcus, I guess you got what you want,
you're
and
canceled
the
now,
truth
man.
came out. Women can't make shows. I'm so sorry, Marcus. That's
I don't think that's the message.
Marcus. I didn't make the rules. You gave them a show and it tanked.
HBO is saying.
That's the message.
That's why they canceled Batgirl. That's why they canceled everything.
They thought that in spite of her being a woman, she could lead a movie, and she couldn't. Canceled movie. What are you gonna do?
Man,
we're speaking
HBO
jokingly, but I don't fucking know, man. I don't know. It's been bought like 6 times. I don't know what's going on over there. Okay, and then one more thing about like prospective things. Apparently, we are going to get a Jon Snow spinoff, and we like Kit Harington, and we like that world. So how could you make that show good? What could that show be
Did
about?
he live at the end of Game of Thrones?
He had to go. Yes.
I don't remember Game of Thrones.
Yeah. So at the end, obviously, Game of Thrones, Kit Harington, Jon Snow, he killed Daenerys, and everyone, half the people thought he should be king, and then half the people was like, "You fucking killed my queen, get the fuck out of here." And people like Grey Worm were like, "Fucking kill him," and then Tyrion was like, "No, we have to compromise. We'll send him to the wall." So that one of the last scenes in Game of Thrones is Arya sailing to the New World, Sansa being in charge of Winterfell, and Jon Snow being in the North. Well, honestly, it was a nice last shot. Yeah. Like without being so mad, like it was like because you saw all 3 of them walking, and it kept cutting back and forth. It was actually kind of cool, like shot. And Jon Snow was in the North at the wall again.
I have to say this.
Torben. Yes?
Fuck the plot. Fuck everything. Everyone keeps talking about how Kit Harington is hiring his own writers, but I think this is not in the chat. Daron said, I think, but most people online have been mentioning it as a positive thing. What the fuck does he know about writing? What the fuck does he know?
I will say sometimes we get lucky and an actor is really because they're artists. They fucking, arguably, but also, he knows the character very well.
You can also end up with a Jack Reacher kind of show where he is this infallible fucking man who walks around killing everything in one hit and everyone wants to fuck him. Like, it could also happen.
I would watch Jon Snow as Reacher. Solving little mysteries in the North, going house to house. Who has harmed you?
I would watch that.
Don't worry. The North remembers. That'd be badass.
You know what he does? Like he walks around the 7 kingdoms or whatever number kingdoms.
That's right.
And he goes fixing people's problems, and he gets some like renown, and people are like, "Oh, I like him. He's like the guy who's trying to help us all." And then
he's like the Shadow King.
Yeah,
he becomes like the Shadow King, and he's like helping behind the scenes and stuff.
Yeah,
and then eventually they're gonna ruin it, and they have to kill him because he's too powerful. And then that's the end of the show. Daron just said, to be honest, I have a dissertation on it about how much she hates Jon Snow, and I'm gonna read what she says without reading it in my head first. I like Kit Harington, but Jon Snow just had such a victim complex, and the writers got so carried away with this chosen one thing. I didn't really get that. I didn't get that at all, but you're entitled what you think. What do you think? Do you agree with Daron? Because if you do, I'd like to hear more about it.
Victim complex.
I didn't really see any of that.
I understand being carried away with the chosen one thing, because I feel like they really grasped on to whatever they could that was left behind by George R.R. Martin, because they just were like scrounging for whatever.
Well, that sounds like Endgame, right?
Yeah.
That sounds like Endgame. That was supposed to be the Endgame.
So they were just like, oh, Destiny. Oh, it must be the, you know, they got like so worked up about that whole thing. So I totally see them, that part of it.
But you have to fulfill a prophecy.
Yeah.
Like, you write yourself in a hole when you do that way, but they needed to pay that off.
Yeah,
you know.
I guess he did do that hero thing a lot, where he's like, "Oh, I didn't choose to be here."
That's what you mean, victim complex. Like, I don't want
charge. I don't want it. I don't want the throne.
I don't know. I found that endearing.
Also, hold on. You just said he's endearing. Yeah. He fucked his aunt.
Well, he didn't. Well, apparently, I don't have a problem with incest. You're proving that now twice. You proved that now twice. I don't have a problem with Jamie. I don't have a problem with Jon Snow.
That's all I want to hear. Nick, say it loud and proud. You don't have a problem with incest.
Can I get political really quick? Do you know about the Pennsylvania election?
Oh no.
So
No,
there's
I
a guy
don't.
really far on the left. That's
Uh-huh.
John Fetterman. He's pretty
Uh-huh.
far on the left. He was a Bernie supporter. And then the other guy is Dr. Oz.
Okay.
The
Which
Fetterman
one
team
of
has been
those-
fucking bashing
Which one
Dr.
of
Oz.
those is
Dr.
an
Oz is
incest person?
Dr. Oz was on Charlemagne's podcast, The Morning Club, The Morning Show, whatever it
Oh,
is.
did he talk about like if you fuck like after your
And a
first cousin
caller
doesn't
came
matter?
in, and a caller came in and said, "Yo, I can't stop fucking my cousin," is what the caller said. And Dr. Oz started right away without even thinking. He's like, you know, if it's like second cousins, it's totally fine. He just went straight into it, like without missing a beat.
Hell yeah.
It was very funny.
Dr. Oz. Monster. Piece of shit monster.
Darren, that's a fan theory, and I think it's correct, but I think it's setting up a trope to be subverted. And instead, the writers were like, yeah, absolutely, he is Jesus. Oh, that's a really good point, Darren. So George R. R. Martin hasn't had the chance to pay that off yet. So the writers took that and said, great, we'll pay it off.
Yeah.
But Darren's probably right in what she's saying, as having, she's read the books, but, you know, George R. R. Martin does have a tendency to subvert us about those things. So being the prince that is promised is probably going to mean something different when he pays it off. That's a good point. I think that was one of the big problems with season 8, right? Like they didn't subvert anything.
Yeah.
They're very
it
straight
felt
down the line.
Reddit wrote the whole fucking script, and it was just. I mean, honestly, if Reddit wrote it, it might have been better.
That's what that was my only problem with what you said. I feel like Reddit had a better take on what was probably going on there. So what could a Jon Snow show be about? He's in the north, fucking around.
He just fucking solves. He's being Jack Reacher. Honestly, that's probably what it is. He's gonna go solve people's problems, become a hero in his own right, and maybe find love.
Would you watch an Arya spinoff?
I would not watch a spinoff of
any
any single character in Game of Thrones.
Well, you just did, and I'll give you the next one, so you have to. Pew pew pew.
Which character?
I said Arya. I don't know. I was just
no. I meant you said I just did. I don't watch any of this stuff.
Oh, I will.
This was not okay. Fair enough. I'll use my substitution jutsu that we haven't used in ever because we still both have to be here. So we're like, why would we do that?
We both have used our You've used your substitution jutsu twice.
On recently?
Not
that's what I meant.
Season,
I just meant recently.
season.
We haven't done it.
Oh, on this season?
Yeah.
No, you have not. Oh, the 5th book ended with him getting killed by the Night's Watch. Wait. Darren, now you just need to tell me in the chat. Do you think that Jon Snow is not going to come back in the books?
That'd be cool.
George R. R. Martin had to have left a couple things. Like there were a couple things he left them with that are going to happen, and I assumed one of them would be Jon Snow. But
George R. R. Martin also said that he's based on feedback has changed some of the book stuff.
That's also true. And he also has very much said, is like, I don't know where it's going to end up. I'll figure it out when I get there.
Yeah.
He's like, I'm not a planner.
Yeah.
Oh,
so
God, that would be wild.
You know what? I love rubbing in Darren's face. Every time George R. R. Martin works on something else that isn't Game of Thrones, when he's like working on Elden Ring, and I'm like, oh wow, I'm getting to enjoy George R. R. Martin's true good work. And just all the things that he's gonna continue to do. He's working on a show right now that's not Game of Thrones related. I'm just so excited.
Darren just screamed in the chat, and this is the last time I'll call you out, Darren. She just screamed out, I don't want to be like this. My friends, is a Stockholm syndrome. That's what that is right there.
She also, just to prove Darren's love for the show, she was supposed to be going to sleep during the episode of the podcast because we've been awake for a long time.
Oh, that is very funny. Oh, it is 100% Stockholm syndrome. Marcus, more about the show. Is there anything else you want to? We've ragged on almost everyone and everything.
All good. We were thinking this was going to be a short episode. It's an hour and a half. I'm content with the content we've put out.
Just any quick. The last thing I'd like to leave on is just any quick predictions. Because I don't know if either one of us are going to watch. We'll find out in a second. But
quick predictions.
Where do you think? Yeah, I mean, I'm pretty sure that she's not going to become queen. I don't know how or why. I don't know. Maybe she kills somebody and then her little brother becomes king. I don't know.
The Crab Man isn't dead. And the Crab Man's going to come back and he's going to come out the cave and he's like, I have risen.
Marcus, you saw Damon picking out half his body.
Yeah, it was another. It was this different person.
It was his head and arm.
Person. It was a different person. He put the mask on.
Can I say what a waste? Together. Can I say what a waste? Because his design,
it was really
creepy
cool
and cool as fuck.
Really cool.
But like,
yeah, and no one can defeat him because he keeps hiding in the cave. So,
oh shit, gosh, I'm literally staring at characters right now, And like, besides the obvious stuff, like the dad's gonna die, the king, because he's. Why do you need to set up for 4 episodes that he fucking has boils and fucking lesions on his? I get it. He's gonna die. Just fucking kill him when it's time to die.
That was plenty of time that they could have spent having one of the many conversations we wanted them to have. Instead, we had to learn about his boils.
Eating his hand and maggots eating his fucking fingers off. Like, I don't need him to be sick for 6 episodes and then he can die whatever he fucking wants. That's one of the reasons what made Game of Thrones good. People just ran and fucking died.
Yeah.
Robert the King just got fucking destroyed by a boar and he was dead.
You remember one thing that I feel like never got paid off in Game of Thrones? Remember when there was that monk who like took off his robe and he had a bunch of chains and he was jacked underneath it?
Oh, the Meister. Yeah. I thought he would like be like a bigger part. No.
Yeah, I thought he was gonna fight some dude or something. Yeah, he was strong as fuck.
I thought he was gonna secretly be like a big player, but he was just like a sniveling
I thought we were getting
coward.
like an Iroh thing. Like he was just training for something. He was gonna fuck up everybody.
Nice. Oh man, that live action show's coming soon.
We'll see.
Watch out on Netflix and One Piece. Watch out.
Oh, One Piece.
We're in for some doozies. We'll see.
Yeah.
Guys, if you want us to watch that shit that's probably coming out, make sure to join the Patreon.
Hell yeah.
Marcus, let's get to the questions. Are you ready for them?
Yeah, I'm ready.
Marcus, did you like this show?
I did not like the show. I'll ask you because I feel like you gave me the challenge, but you know what? You also were watching it. Did you like the show?
God, I wanted to so bad. But just like Daron says in the chat right now, we're all going to be residents of Disappointment City soon.
Daron, you're killing it today in the chat.
Yeah. And the only thing, Marcus, the only thing that I like about the show is the actress that plays the main character, and we're losing her any episode now.
Oh, really?
Because there's gonna.
Oh,
they already the first announcements were different actresses. Bigger actresses as them as older, and they're big actresses, so it must be any day now because they led advertising with them. Those people are on the posters and stuff, so they're coming any day now.
I don't know who they are.
I don't know the one, but the other one you do. It's Olivia Cook.
Oh, okay, cool.
She's 13 Reasons. Is that Olivia Cook?
I don't know.
13 reasons
when I see them on the show or in
13
poster,
Reasons to Kill Yourself. What's the name of that fucking show?
I think so. 13? Yeah, that sounds right.
Marcus, would you recommend this show?
No, I would not recommend this show at all. I would say that if you liked Game of Thrones, if you like season 8, then you love the show. Perfect show for you. You're like target audience for the show. If you're rocking those like Game of Thrones like shirts still, then you're gonna love this show. Everyone else, Marcus, stay away.
I was wrong. She wasn't 13 Reasons, girl. She was in Ready Player One.
I
get her and 13 Reasons movie. Girl confused.
Another bad adaptation. Ready Player One.
Oh, I know. And Marcus, last question. Will you continue to watch this show?
I don't know. I'm going to say no, but I could see myself watching, like, I just feel like I want to know what happens, but I don't want to watch it.
100%. I feel the same way. I'm probably going to finish this season because I want to know. Like,
I might watch YouTube video summaries or something like that instead. Give those people my views. But
that's smart. That's smart. I've never really done that for anything. We can read the Wikipedia summaries. But you need to like see how bad it's gonna be. You know what I mean? Like now, like I'm in it, and like now I'm gonna. You know what? I am gonna finish the show because I'm gonna fucking hate watch the end of this fucking show.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna be mad about it. Oh, Olivia Clarke was in Me, Earl, and the Dying Girl. It's one of my favorite movies. I'm gonna give it to you someday.
Oh, cool,
Marcus. Next week, your challenge to me is one word: barbarian.
Barbarian.
Which in theaters now.
I can't tell you anything. I'm not going to say anything. I'm normally not good about it. Normally I'm like, oh, you know, you're looking it up right now. Don't look it up.
I'm just seeing if I can rent it.
Okay.
God. And the answer is no.
Okay. So you got to go make some time. Go to the theaters.
This might be super illegal. I put in rent Barbarian and I clicked the first thing to see where I can rent it. And it started playing something and I paused it. And the first thing that's playing is a 20th Century Fox logo, and it says it's an hour and 41 minutes. Is this just the movie? Did I just find the movie?
Maybe. But I would recommend.
Oh, it's asking me to activate an account. Okay. Great.
I would recommend going to see it in theaters if you have the time. It's fun.
I could watch it online.
Yeah.
All right, fine. I'll get out of here.
Hell yeah.
Marcus, Guys, if you want to join our community, you can at patreon.com/nowtrythiscast. We, of course, also film this live on Twitch, and you can listen wherever you do your podcast and subscribe and follow. But the thing that helps us out the most is joining that Patreon, letting us know with your money that we should keep doing this show because it helps us defer the cost.
Mhm.
And we would very much like to break even
Yep.
with entertaining you guys.
That is
So
the goal.
patreon.com/nowtrythiscast.
Okay, guys, thank you so much for joining us. Remember to go out there and try some things. Good night. Good night, Nick. You gotta wave. Good night.
Good night.
Friends get together so they can try things. Young about intense podcast so that you can try things. Now we will stop singing so that we can all now try this.
I'm pretty sure we're gonna have a lot to say, but not take that long to say the things we have to say. So
Yeah.
I think we're gonna be so I think it's gonna be a good episode.
Yeah.
Because I'm sure you got a lot to say just like I do. I'm pretty sure it won't take that long to do it.
If it's a 45-minute episode, then it's a 45-minute episode. Who
Yeah,
cares?
there is no game. I was gonna get a costume, I was gonna make a game.
Doesn't
and then
matter.
But by the time I finished caught up, I was like, you know what? All that seems unnecessary for what we just watched.